Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, host of Mansion Global on Fox Business, Katrina Campins. And for the first time on Outnumbered, former Texas Land Commissioner and partner at Michael Best LLP, George P. Bush. George, we're so grateful to have you today. We're so honored. The last time I saw you, we were just chatting about, you and I were almost jumping out of a plane skydiving in Texas, but because of weather, we weren't able to. And maybe that was a bit of a relief for us at
Thank
that
God
moment.
we had high winds. We didn't have to jump out of that plane, but what a great opportunity to honor my grandfather, former President George H.W. Bush, and to spend some time at the Presidential Library in College Station. Hopefully you got a taste of Texas with some barbecue and cowboy boots and country music. So it was a great time. We'll have to do it again.
I hope so. And yes, it was an amazing day, honoring your family, honoring your family's legacy and their contribution in that beautiful state of Texas. And today we're looking forward to hearing your contribution. So guys, we begin with anger, frustration, and government distrust coming out of the town of East Palestine, Ohio. Residents expressing their outrage during an emotional town hall last night, blasting the lack of answers about the derailed train and growing health concerns. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the derailment released 4 toxic chemicals into the air. A lot of people who live in the area are understandably worried and have questions. The train company, Norfolk Southern, by the way, didn't even show up to last night's meeting. They pulled out at the last minute, claiming they were scared for the physical safety of their employees. What about the physical safety for the residents of the town that can't leave? Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was also a no-show, but he did tweet about it. But he tweeted about a lot of other things too, including several times about electric cars. And it gets worse. We could not find any direct comment from President Biden on the disaster. He didn't even address it yesterday while he was speaking about other rail projects. No wonder people from this small town of 4,700 feel angry and scared and forgotten. Even though just weeks ago, the president promised that his administration would be there for folks just like them. Watch.
Investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten. Too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. So many of you, so many of the folks I grew up with, feel left behind, forgotten. It's frightening. I want to speak directly to you.
George, for these Americans to feel so forgotten, to feel so small in the face of this administration, it's underscored when they all of a sudden surface on the national level when it's a battleground state, when there's elections at stake, when there's some reason for someone to amplify or elevate their own position as a lawmaker. But at a time when it's needed most, right now, for the president to say, I see you, to those 4,700 people, they get silence.
This is environmental hypocrisy. So the left calls for additional red tape and regulation when it comes to protecting our environment. But when we have one of the largest environmental disasters in recent history, this president is nowhere to be found. Secretary Buttigieg doesn't even have the time to get on a plane and visit with his constituents. Not to mention the EPA secretary is nowhere to be found. You know, I don't know if you all had a chance to check out the town hall, but it was the mayor that was taking the tough questions.
Yep.
And I come at this from the perspective of a crisis manager in the state of Texas, where during the Trump days, President Trump and Vice President Pence came down days after the storm. And Governor Abbott, along with all the statewide electeds, passing out water, helping rebuild homes, mucking and gutting, and getting rid of mold. I mean, that's what leadership is about. Your constituents are entrusting you with this position, and they're busy playing politics. And so it may affect them politically, but I'm just disappointed in their lack of leadership during an ecological crisis.
There's a phrase, Kayleigh, that my family has always said, Presenza Leone, your presence is lion. And it means that you physically show up, and that is priceless, and it's so many more volumes than a tweet or a comment or the lack thereof. Yeah. Even if you can't show up, you make it, you get there, come hell or high water, because people are dying. They're afraid to die. They are afraid. And this president doesn't have the gumption or the leadership to show up in person. The director of transportation doesn't have the leadership, the empathy to show up. Why not?
Yeah, let's put it quite bluntly and accurately. Your federal government has failed you, East Palestine. There's no two ways about that. And the timeline is damning. February 3rd, the train derails.
Yeah.
No formal statement from the White House, zero. February 7th, we just watched clips from the State of the Union. Not a single mention of a train derailment with toxic chemicals, some of which were used in World War I. Not a single mention in the State of the Union as our president talks about the forgotten man and woman. Kamala Harris then gives a speech on the environment on February 8th. Not a single mention. Yesterday, you noted, Emily, our president gives a speech on rail. No mention.
Yeah.
At some point, this becomes just purely insulting that you give a speech on the environment, a State of the Union, and on rail, and this is not mentioned. They simply do not care. And I contrast that with how the elites dealt with COVID-19 in the White House. We all had to wear our masks. We all had to take precautions. I remember when I was a close contact of someone at the White House podium, a reporter literally drew a seating chart and talked about not wearing masks. Well, imagine elites in Washington, D.C., if you were in the middle of a toxic chemical burn without wearing a mask. That's essentially what has happened to these people. And where is the irate anger that I saw with COVID-19 protocols? It is woefully absent from the press and the elite here when it is East Palestine.
And this East Palestine is about 20 miles south of Youngstown. You know, that was the town that was memorialized in Bruce Springsteen's song about a town left to their own devices, a town forgotten because of the jobs that leave. This is an area where manufacturing jobs have left. And again, the only time and attention is given to this area is when elected politicians feel the need to ensure their votes. These people need to be heard.
I want to make sure people know the facts today. And I loved what you said, environmental hypocrisy, because that's what this is. The people who are absent right now are all Democrats. How interesting is that? My guest last hour brought me to tears. Brandon Nailsnick is in Pennsylvania. So this is 2 states now that are dealing with this. They border each other. It's not 4,700 people. It's going to be a lot more than that because it's across state lines. He said that the evacuation after February 3rd's 8 p.m., 49 minutes past the hour, was for a mile with the blast site, shrapnel things flying. But the air traveled much farther. That plume of smoke, those toxins. Doc Siegel was on my show yesterday, Dr. Mark Siegel, and he said, groundwater, air, some of that will be in the systems of people for generations to come. This young man has 4 young children. He brought pictures with him of things that we hadn't seen because he was on the ground. And you could see how close they were then. I said, Brandon, did you get far enough away? He said, well, I did what they said, but yeah, no, I didn't. Those are the facts from the ground, and that town hall was an embarrassment last night. You're right, the mayor was trying mightily, but he doesn't have the information. Why didn't the transportation secretary make Norfolk Southern zoom in? My gosh, we were on digital for how long? We did whole shows on Zoom. You can't zoom into that meeting and take some questions. They don't want to. They don't want us to know the answers. And our president has ridden the train so many times. He loves to ride the train, he says. He makes up stories about riding the train. Maybe that's why he's not touching this. Somebody in cahoots with somebody? I don't know. I want the chance to ask every question as a journalist.
Amen.
And Katrina, there's a spectrum. So we have from the government right here, to George's point, saying, well, it's not hazardous levels and there's nothing to see here, but there's a spectrum below that because below hazardous is still harmful. Below actionable is still impactful. So to Harris's point, all of these people in East Palestine and the surrounding areas will only grow. There will only be more people affected in actual tangible ways, but the government insists that it only matters if it reaches a certain level, and it hasn't reached that yet, so nothing to see here and no reason for it to be addressed.
And I see this as a real estate professional as I travel around the entire nation. There was one community which I visited, and the street had 5 homes on it, and 4 of those people have cancer. And when you go back to it, the root is the well system, the water system, but no one's addressing this. And so I actually see this throughout the entire nation, and it's something that we really need to take note of. In addition to that, think about these people's homes. You know, health obviously comes first and foremost, but they're not going to be able to resell this home. And most of them have their life savings in their property, not to mention uprooting your children, the consistency of community. I mean, it's such a big issue on so many levels that I think we need leadership here at this point in time.
We saw that in Whidbey Island in Washington state as well, the waterways that were contaminated and the resulting loss of everyone's equity and value and generational dependency for their families. George, final thoughts before we conclude.
Yeah, I mean, as Harris said, half of this is just not, even if you don't know the answer, is showing empathy.
Yeah.
Lending a shoulder to a crying constituent, to a victim of this terrible disaster, but yet it's been totally radio silent. And, you know, there's a lot on the plate for the president. Kayleigh knows this, being press secretary, but at the same time, you could either Zoom in and telephonically call in, but show up. And it's just disappointing to see up and down the chain of command no actionability, and you know, the people are still waiting for answers. And you're absolutely right. This is more than just the initial blast zone of 11 miles. This is a multi-state, multi-jurisdictional crisis, and this is a moment for leadership, and we haven't seen it.
Well, we assure you, we don't forget you. We will continue to share your stories in that situation there. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.